Hi, I'm Allie,
I'm Nick.
and today we are talking about how 2019 is going to be the year of less for us.
Yes.
Specifically, I think we have three categories. Less buying books.
Yes.
Less book boxes. I felt like there was a third. And maybe just general ways to work around those two things.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe we can start with buying books. What we mean by
Less
buying books.
So, personally, I totaled up what I bought last year, or I should say acquired in books, because some of the books I got either as ARCs or book boxes or whatever. And I brought in 151 new books last year. And I only read 80. And not all of those were books that I brought in. Some of those were books that I just checked out from the library anyway. So I decided that I really need to refocus on this year. And I think this is something that Allie also kind of came to the conclusion of, is that we got really caught up in getting new books and then they would not actually get read.
Yep.
And they would just kind of sit there. And personally, I would also get really caught up in getting books if I saw that they were on sale, or if there were deals on book outlet type sites or ebook deals would suck me in a lot too. And so if it was a book that I was kind of interested in, or hey, this booktuber talked about this, I should get it too, without really kind of looking to see if it's something that I'd actually want to read. And then I would just get it, and then it would just sit there, and it would just sit there, and I would just go read something else that I wanted to read anyway. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me personally, I have no idea how many books I bought, but it was way more than I read. And so the biggest thing for me, I think, is I love buying books because I want to write books. I like supporting authors.
Yeah.
I just love books too. I get so excited just going into a bookstore or a library. Those are my favorite places to be. I just love being around books. And if I had an in-home library, I think then it would be fine.
Yeah.
But I don't. I have limited space, and it was just constant clutter and constant trying to figure out where the books should go.
Yes.
So that was kind of a big thing for me as far as buying books. And then I guess we could talk about how we decluttered our books. So I went through... I basically, at first, was having a really hard time getting rid of books because I was like, oh, I love this book. And then I started kind of thinking about, well, is it a book I would reread? And there are a lot of books that I really love, but I don't see myself rereading them. And if I do, I could probably get them from the library, or I could find them on Scribd or Audible or something like that.
Yeah.
If I wanted to listen to them. So that was a lot of books when I thought about it that way. So that helped a lot. That helped a whole lot with getting rid of books. So I took a giant stack of books to my local bookstore, and I got over $100 for the books. So now I have $100 in credit, which I plan to just use every now and then instead of spending it all at once on a bunch of books that I will not read for another year or two.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my decluttering thing, and my bookcases are still full. Because there's a lot of books I still haven't read. But I did get rid of, one other thing. I did get rid of a lot of books from book boxes that I was reading the back of, and they would just were sitting there, and I kept going back to look at them, and I was just I don't think I'm ever going to read these. So we'll talk about book boxes in a minute, but...
I got rid of books that I know I wouldn't reread. But then I also got rid of books, not only from book boxes, but just other ones that I bought because they were on sale or whatever. That I just knew that I wasn't going to read at all. That, not to say that it's not a bad book or, whatever, it's just there's only so much time I have to read, and I really have to be more selective in how I read. And then kind of going back to not having space, also I currently live in an apartment, and a big thing about, which isn't to say that people can't have books if they live in apartments, but I have moved enough times with books to know that I hate freaking moving with books. And actually, when I first moved, up until 2 years ago, I really didn't have a lot of physical books. I got rid of a lot of my physical books and bought them on ebook versions.
Yeah.
And I do feel part of the reason I started acquiring a lot of books is actually because of BookTube, because I would watch these BookTube videos with these with these booktubers in front of their beautiful bookshelves of curated books or like, you know,
Yeah.
like they just looked pretty, and I was like, I want one of those too, but I, first of all, don't really have a bookshelf, and second of all, I don't have the space for a bookshelf, and then again, I know eventually when I move out of the apartment, and I'm not gonna want to move those books.
Yeah.
So
You just made me realize that in 2000, like the end of 2008, so it's been 10 years. 10 years ago, at the end of a relationship, I ended up with like a shelf, like a little shelf of books, one shelf of books. I think you guys have seen my bookshelf now, so clearly I've been busy.
yeah,
Yeah, but anyway, I realized that and I was like, oh my God.
yeah. That's basically how it was for me. Like I had like a little shelf of, and it was mostly books that I couldn't find on eBay, ebook versions of.
Yeah.
Like ones that weren't, like they might even be ebook versions now. But yeah, so I went from having like nothing, and I ended up having to get a bookshelf because I had so many books that I had nowhere to put them, and they were just stacked on the floor.
Yeah.
And then that bookshelf started getting full, and I was like, uh-oh.
You know what's funny is when I see people like I feel like you see it more in like Europe or New York City, like the people that just have books stacked everywhere. I always think that looks awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could deal.
No. I had that, and it's very like stressful.
Yeah.
Because
I just think it can look so cool, but yeah, I don't think I
Yeah.
could deal if it was actually in my house.
yeah, especially not if you have cats that like to brush up against the books.
I was actually thinking about dog hair. I was like, it would just all be covered in dog hair.
Well, that or they just make the books fall.
Yeah, so yeah. Which is, I feel like it's important for us to both say that this is just our personal,
Yeah.
this is what we, and it's funny that we each individually came to this. Like we didn't like sit down and like force each other to do this. It just, we both kind of came to the same realization. I think taking a month off of recording videos kind of helped us be like, oh, you've kind of been going crazy with the book buying and
well,
stuff.
and then I do feel like a lot of it was just because of us getting more and more into like the book community and stuff like that. It kind of comes naturally with that, and I do feel like sometimes personally you have to take a step back and like reflect on what works for you personally as well as financially, honestly, because like I was actually telling Allie before we started recording this video, because I got into bullet journaling last year, and so I had this weird thing where I started keeping track of what books I bought each month and how much I spent. And so I could technically total up how much I spent on books last year, but I don't want to. I really don't want to do that. So
yeah, I don't either, because I know it was a lot. It was a whole lot, but that's okay. Like I said, I would rather spend my like expendable income on books than other things. So I really don't mind that as much as just that I don't have the space for them. Like maybe one day I'll move into a bigger house that actually has a library. That would be my like dream scenario. And even then, I think I would probably still just like chill out. Be a little more mindful of like if it seems like a book I would just read once. Because I love YA a lot, but I think with a lot of those books, especially the contemporary ones, like I'm just gonna read them once.
Right.
Like I'm not gonna like sit and do a deep dive into those, I think. And
I feel like also kind of talking about the whole rereading thing is that the downside of also about buying like a lot of books is that then you start feeling guilty when you want to reread a book, because you're like I really want to reread this. It's my favorite book, but I have like 30 books sitting over there that I haven't read yet, and I should just read those instead. And so then I don't know about you, but I just go, well, I'm not going to read anything because that solves the problem completely.
Right. You know what's really funny though? I just said I don't ever reread YA contemporary, and I actually just reread the entire Anna and the French Kiss series
special
for the like 5th time because it's like one of my favorites. So normally that's not the case. I feel like with a lot of YA contemporary romances, like I read them and I'm like, oh, it's so cute, and I loved it, but it just, I'm not like compelled to reread it again. I think Anna and the French Kiss is probably the exception of the rule. Yeah, because those books just speak to me.
I do think I'm going to move on to probably purchasing part of my books as ebooks again, just because then I have the space for them.
And just so everyone knows, you can get ebooks from your independent bookstore. A lot of the times they have an ebook program. So if you are trying to downsize and you don't want as many paper books, and you do want ebooks, I think most independent bookstores have a way to do that. So that's something to think about. You won't get the kind of discounts and everything typically, but you will be supporting awesome businesses. So just something to think about. And then also there's the library.
Yes, of course. And then, so if it's an ebook, obviously you don't want to like own.
Right.
You can just borrow it, but.
Yeah. And there's also like Scribd, which
yeah.
I use a ton.
Yeah.
I've actually decreased my Audible subscription because I mainly listen to Scribd. So.
And Hoopla.
Hoopla, yes. There's a lot of cool sites out there for getting free stuff. And we also wanted to say, because we didn't want to I think both of us wanted to make sure that authors are still getting support, because that's important to both of us. You can request books by your favorite authors from the library, and that's someone else buying the book for,
you're
for
still
you to get for free.
them.
Yeah, so that's still a way to support them if you are trying to like cut back on spending money.
And on Overdrive, and I'm sure Libby as well, you can actually support ebooks from your favorite authors as well. And actually, if there's a lot of people in line for a specific ebook, they will purchase more copies. Yeah, so
it's just something to keep in the back of your mind.
So don't feel like if you're trying to be a little bit more financially savvy, or like be a little bit less free with your money, even when it comes to books. You will still be supporting authors if you get your books through your library instead. So, and then really quickly, I think we want to touch on book boxes.
Yes.
So we love book boxes.
We do. Like, it's so fun. So as an adult, it's so rare that anyone sends you an email.
Yes.
I'm sure as a kid now these days too, but like you just never get a box of fun things to open. So I feel like that's part of the reason I love it, is just because it's like I have no idea what's going to be in there. It's just like a fun thing to do.
And you don't really like get presents anymore that are like surprises.
Right, yeah. It's like a list you've given someone and people are saying, what do you want? Which is still fun.
No, but I mean, it's nice to be like, ooh, what's inside this box?
You're very rarely surprised as an adult. Yes. So, it is super fun to get them. However, once you've received them, I noticed, I went through my books. Yeah. And I went through everything in my bookcase where I'm looking at it. Like, you guys can't tell what I'm looking at. But I went through all the stuff in that room as well. And then just my office. And there was so much stuff from book boxes that was just sitting around that I was like, this is really cool, that I was never going to do anything with. So I sent a bunch of that stuff to the Goodwill. And then I ended up taking, as I said before, a lot of those books to my local bookstore to get trade money for. So excuse me. So it made me really realize that like book boxes maybe are not a good idea for me, because I end up not reading the books, and then I end up not using all the stuff. There were 3 that I knew exactly what book was in them, and I really wanted that book. And there was one that was by an author that I really liked, and I was surprised and happy to get it. So there were like a few times that I was like really into the book, but a lot of the time I just wasn't. And I think something we talked about is you can go onto a lot of the book boxes sites and they have a store. Yeah. So if you see a particular item that you're like, ooh, I would use that, and that's really cool, you can like buy that one item instead of getting the whole box. So I think unless something really changes, or I just see a box that like as a book I think I'm gonna really like or something, I don't think I'll probably do any more book boxes.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't want to say any more, but I definitely think I'm not going to do any for a while. I signed up for 6 months of Owlcrate, and I really enjoyed it. And I've actually been lucky because a lot of the books that I've ended up getting through it were ones that I actually was waiting to receive anyway. But there has definitely been a few here or there that I'm just like not as into. But on a whole, I really enjoyed the books I've gotten through them. So I'm not saying anything against Owlcrate.
Oh, me neither. I love
No, I know. I'm just saying. But I do think that 6 months is just way too much. For me personally, like if you're someone that loves getting multiple book boxes or just getting a book box subscription for a whole year, kudos. I mean, I feel like I've been doing that with all my subscription services though, not just like book ones. So it's definitely like, I really like it. And I like the fact that book boxes have introduced me to like different creators and like books and stuff like that. Definitely. And it's great. But my subscription for Owlcrate is up in, I think January is going to be my last box. And after that, I probably won't get a book box for the rest of the year just because it's been too much. especially with just the stuff you get as well. There's been a few things that I've actually donated to Allie to use as prizes in her classroom because it's just stuff that I'm not going to use, and I'm trying to not be as cluttered in my daily life.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of downside, I think, of that.
Yeah.
And then to kind of finish it up, so one thing that happened is we've gone to Y'all West in a variety of years, and one of the things you can get there is ARCs. And I've also gotten a few through stuff like just like prizes on random websites, or just I forget how I got some of them, honestly. Like I somehow ended up with
one of
ARCs.
these came from the author.
Yeah.
From May of 2014.
Yeah.
It's been sitting around for a while. Wow.
When I went to Y'all West last year, I got like really obsessed with getting ARCs for some reason, to the point where like that was all I did all day. Which, like, looking back, I wish I had just gone to the lines for the books that I really wanted, but it was more of like, it's such a mad rush over there that you just kind of go, okay, I'm just gonna get in line for anything, just give me a free book so it can sit on my shelf. Like, Anyway, the point is, since they're ARCs, we can't really sell them. And we figure we would actually give back to some of the people that watch our videos. So congratulations, you guys that are watching this part of the video. Because we're not really advertising this. This is definitely not like
we're not trying to get followers by doing this.
Yes.
We just want other book lovers to have a chance.
We want to pass on some goodies. So we have 3 stacks of ARCs here. We were having the hardest time like figuring out how to like divide these up, and then we
finally went with like just throwing them together. So it's a mix. You'll get a mix of books
because they're all kind of random genres and stuff, and we were just kind of like, I'm not sure. So
what did we decide? 1, 2, 3.
I think we did backwards, but that's
1, 2, 3. Okay, all right. We'll start here. Okay, so this is
pile 1.
Stack 1 contains. To win our giveaway, just leave a comment and say I would like stack 1, stack 2, or stack 3. That's it. Yes. That's all you got to say. Obviously, if you want to tell us something about the video that you like agreed with or didn't agree with or whatever, that's totally fine.
But
too.
you can literally comment with just like stack number 1.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
We just want to do this for people that actually watch our videos. We don't want to get a bunch of like
people that will just unfollow us right after the giveaway's over.
Yeah. So all right. So first we have City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab, who we both have read. I don't know why I said who. We both read this book and we both loved it.
Middle grade.
Super good.
Ghost story, basically.
The Epic Crush of Jeannie Lowe, which is signed, by the way, by the author. I believe it's personalized to me, but you know,
if your name's Allie,
feel free. But it is signed, and he was super nice. A demon invasion is no excuse for bad grades. I love that. Tool of War by Paolo Guy. I'm not even gonna try. A Short History of the Girl Next Door by Jared Reck. This is such a cool cover. I really love it. It's my commentary about this book. Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera. So that's this one.
I really like that cover too.
Yeah, that's a cool cover. And then Odd and True by Kat Winters. That's a cool name.
Yeah.
Kat Winters, I like that. Okay, so that's stack 1.
Stack number 2.
Haunting the Deep by Adriana Mather. Adriana Mather?
It's about the Titanic haunting a girl, just FYI.
Yeah.
I haven't read it, but I just like the fact that it's the ship haunting somebody.
Nixia?
Which I feel like if
Is that how you say it?
I think so, and I feel like if you watch like YA booktubers, you've heard about this just because it's a big book.
People are real excited about this one.
Yes.
By Scott Rankin. Everyone makes fun of me. I'm terrible at name pronunciations. I grew up in a really, really small town in the Midwest where, like,
I'm terrible.
I had horrible exposure to like a variety of names. Like everyone was named Jennifer, so
Smith.
Jennifer Smith. Well, there were some like a lot of like Polish names and Italian names and stuff, but yeah, it wasn't a lot of variety there. Okay, so this one is The Haters by Jesse Andrews, who also wrote Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, and it comes with a little swag in there. So, and then Listen to Your Heart by Casey West.
It's a really cute book, by the way.
Did you read it?
Yes.
And then
It's part of our podcast. It's very timely.
Rich and Pretty, a novel by Ruman Alam. Cool.
Yeah. So that was stack number 2. And finally, stack 3. We've got Chemistry Lessons by Meredith Goldstein. Goldstein, sorry. That's Not What Happened by Cody Keplinger. Give Me Some Truth by Eric Gansworth. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart.
That's the one I won from her back in May of 2014, apparently. And it's an awesome book.
Our Crystal...
It's late. We're tired.
Our Chemical Hearts by Crystal Sutherland. It's like Our Crystal Hearts by Chemical Sutherland. And Under a Dark Sky by Lori Rader Day. And that's stack number 3.
All right, so remember, this is stack 1, stack 2, stack 3. Let us know which one you want. The only qualifier for this is US only, because we are spending our hard-earned dollars to send this to you. So I don't know that anyone from outside the US watches, but if you do, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll be bigger and we'll be able to send things overseas.
Yeah.
But for now, US only. All you have to do is leave a comment. There's a good chance you'll get these books if you do leave a comment, because
on the unlikely event that more than one person wants a stack, we will of course do a random drawing. And I guess we should give a end date to this.
I was just thinking that.
End of January.
Yeah, January 31st is the last day to comment.
Yes.
So,
and we will not remind you, because we are not advertising this anywhere.
No. I will probably post about it on my Instagram, but I won't do like any hashtags or anything like that. So that'll be the only that'll be the only thing we do, is just like some Instagram stories reminding people. So if you're interested, tell us.
If you want some ARCs.
There's a lot of really good books here.
Yes, and a lot of variety. So we tried to make sure that there was different genres in each stack, so that you kind of get an exposure to a bunch of different types of books and artists. So I guess that's it. So perhaps in the future, if we find ourselves more ARCs, we will pass them on again. But as we are trying to be better about that, not right now.
Yeah.
And I guess my only thing would be, if you do win and you read the books, or you don't read them because you don't like them, feel free to just pass them on to somebody else.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. If you don't, obviously we can't do anything about that, but
we don't want to make more clutter for everybody else.
yes. So,
all right.
So that is it. And, give us a comment, even if you just want to tell us what you want. Otherwise, feel free to let us know if you agree or disagree with our declutter talk. And we will see you next video.